Welcome to the Disruptors, the show for manufacturers, wholesalers, and industrial businesses, building their ace factor through digital transformation that actually delivers. Every week, we unpack real stories, strategies, and lessons using PSV thinking, a practical framework focused on one thing: driving profits, enabling scale, and building long term enterprise value. I am Ritesh Saha, CTO at Intuji, and your host. We are here to challenge how you think about tech, operations, and what's possible in your business. Let's get into it. Hey, Julian, welcome back.
How you going,
How
mate?
have you been? Good,
Yeah,
mate.
been good. Looking forward to this one again. So, yep, really excited for it.
Today we will be discussing about customer portals that actually works, right? So when you hear a customer portal, what does comes to your mind?
Interesting. It's a big conversation about building a customer portal that works. I guess it's different for every business, every type of business, as to what actually needs to be included. There's obviously some basic features that would need to be there. I won't necessarily get into that. I would fall more focus on what we actually need to achieve, you need to achieve for your business to make sure it's successful. One of the key ones I'd be saying is focus on self-service, which means that how do we enable our customers to do every single thing that they need to do with us, but self-service. So that could be ordering, returning, getting delivery updates, requesting account price changes, viewing pricing, viewing stock levels, viewing lead times, configuring products, getting live, whatever it is. That to me is the bedrock of a successful customer portal. There's obviously other things, but the number one focus, if you're going to do it properly, is that a lot of people do these customer portals. They either implement off the shelf platforms or they build their own platform, and it's just generic, run of the mill. You can do an order, but you've got to ring a steal for 90% of this other stuff. And it really lacks their edge factor. It's like what we talk about. It's been designed as a website or a portal. It does the basics in a very rigid way that's just generic, but it lacks a clear edge factor. It's not different in the industry. It's not leading the industry, I guess. And then the other point it is obviously the PSV thinking that we've discussed as well, but have you focused on increasing profit, enabling scale, and building enterprise value? Because if you did that and brought that thinking down to even a screen, each different screen, right, you would design it differently.
So again, I want to simply come back to this: the definition of customer portal. Sometimes some might relate to portals; they might relate to something different, right? So I want to get a small definition from you so that it makes crystal clear that okay, when someone is referring to customer portal, they are referring to this.
Yeah, well, good question. I went off on a tangent a bit before, so that one there, yeah, no worries at all. The way I'd put that is it's a piece of software or a platform that enables your customers to self-service.
Yeah, now I get it right.
And that could be for a range of things, like different businesses. Just to add on to that, like it can mean ordering, it could mean warranty, right? It could mean returns, it could mean product information, specs, or drawing, whatever it is. But what are you providing to your customers or end users or whatever? What platform are you providing for them to be able to fully self-service?
Okay, now I can visualize this. So it's something like, for me, it's something like Bunnings, we self-checkout, or in an application, a web application where anyone can self-check them out, like check out as an order and then self-checkout, whatever process is that.
Yep, that's definitely one of them on the orders side. So Bunnings have obviously their retail website. Bunnings also have a trade website, which is basically PowerPass. They also have an app, or like PowerPass, which is that the PowerPass has the trade website and the app. And then they also have the self-checkout as well, which is, they're all different variations of it. But yeah, PowerPass, I guess, is probably the most aligned with what we're talking about here.
So for a customer portal to be very right, what would you look for in a customer portals?
As a customer, how much can I truly self-serve? It's that simple, because so many businesses, I do believe in keeping things simple, but so many businesses, for example, will say, oh yeah, you can order, but if you want to do this, this and this, you have to ring us up. Or you can check your account balance, but you can't pay, you have to ring us up or email us. Or if you want to do this, yeah, okay, but yeah, no, but you have to do this or something else. It is not genuinely easy to fully self-service. And again, if they were thinking, coming back to this PSV thinking, not to bang on about it, but if they were thinking about increasing profitability, enabling scale and building enterprise value, they would allow customers to fully self-service because it is more efficient, it decreases your costs, increases customer experience. It means you can scale quicker, right? It forces you to digitize your processes. So that means they scale and improve those things, automate them. And you build, if you focus on your edge factor with what you're packaging up, you build enterprise value. Tell me, like, I guess just on that, I say, like, tell me with the enterprise value part of it, a business that has paper processes and phone calls and emails, every business has that. So, like, why are you any different? That would be the challenge.
Totally get it. And if a customer needs a tutorial to work through, a proper support team to help around, and it's a crappy product actually. Like it's no use. You are trying to automate things, and then you need a support team to support that product to run it. Then it's no good. Now I totally visualize it and it makes sense.
I agree with this. I actually have an interesting story. I spoke to Jared Spool on the Pulse podcast, but we were talking about this very specific thing in a bit of a different context, but this very specific thing about understanding what users want, understanding what customers want. He was working with a very large software company that works with Fortune 500 companies, from memory, and they basically sell, from what I understand, it was a data analytics platform. But they are currently spending, from my memory, it's around 60 to 70 million on salaries for team members whose only responsibility is to work at their clients. So every single client has what they call a customer success person or something, and they work physically on site full time for that client because the software is so bad. And this is what me and Jared were talking about. It links to exactly what you just said. It's so crap that they have to spend that amount of money. They're clearly not thinking GBS and things like that there, because if they did it properly, they could be saving 60 or 70 million, put that 60 and 70 million in for 1 year into the development of the product. Can you imagine how better of a product you would have? Then instead of that, they put 60 or 70 million into these salaries, and then their scaling part of that is the same thing. Now go and double it. Suddenly they've got 120, 140 million, more than that in salaries. And so you have $100 million problem every year, not just once, that could be solved if you just did this properly.
It's so frustrating for the customer as well. Like someone, if they have to wait for someone to help them, always they won't get it quick. No one wants to be dependent on someone to wait for them and all that happening there. The process is ridiculous. The experience would be really bad actually.
Agree. And I think this is where, to be honest, I think there's a massive mindset issue with the industries that we work with, especially obviously manufacturing, wholesale, and kind of the industrial services, what we're working in, especially in these areas. A lot of them are like, oh, no, our team are old school, our customers are old school, and, we don't need to do this. Our industry doesn't need this or anything else. It's completely the wrong mindset. Now, a lot of people use like an example like Uber, disrupting the taxis. Now, that is an example. Don't get me wrong. I absolutely agree with it, but it is an extreme example as well. And it's like when you're doing manufacturing, you're not going to replace that necessarily with a man in the middle kind of scenario, which what Uber is. But it is a learning lesson to say, okay, things have changed and we probably should have disrupted ourselves, right, before we were disrupted. The way I put this to people is like, everyone's expectations is growing. Can you tell me, like, in 5 years, 10 years time, are people going to expect things easier, more self-service, quicker, or are they going to expect it less? And the answer always to that is, oh yeah, well, obviously they're going to want it quicker, easier. Things are heading in that direction. So you've answered your own question. So why are you sitting here now saying that we shouldn't be investing in that? We don't need to be doing it because, our industry doesn't do that. And then further to that, a lot of people are missing the fact that a lot of millennials, especially, but also Gen Zs now are coming into, especially with us, we work with a lot of family businesses, but still large private businesses, medium-sized private businesses. So much of what is coming through in leadership now is millennial or Gen Z. Basically, they're all digital first natives, which is very different to having 60, 70, 80-year-olds that have had to learn technology. What happens when your whole customer base shifts, which it is happening, to that, they will be looking for ways to do things. And just in general, we can say this, and I'm saying this, especially myself and even younger kids. From me, I feel like I grew up with tech more than a lot of people did. I look at 4-year-olds now fully use a phone, right? If that makes sense, quicker than their parents. It's not going away. Take that same principle, and it is getting to that level, which means that if you are just sitting around waiting, you will be disrupted. And a practical example of this, without continuing to bang on about it, let's say as a manufacturer, you build some amazing products, right? Complex products, they're typically more expensive, they're premium, you do a really good job, build a really good product. But to actually design what you build, so you build a certain product, but you need general assembly drawings, you need it drawn up, that's most of it's custom, and then it gets approved and you build it. Why can't we automate as much of that process? It's not about doing it badly, but why can't we build in a platform where we can configure it like a configurator, where you do this, you do that, and then it spits out the drawings and the client approves it. They get a price online. They pay the deposit. They do all of this stuff. It's like a lot of people, oh, we aren't ready for that yet. It's like, when will you be ready? Like, be the first one to do it in the industry and do it properly and market it properly. You'll see the returns. That's like, it's not just about doing random stuff. But if you're not looking to disrupt yourself, well, yeah, you will be disrupted.
Yeah, totally agree with you on all of this. Basically, with my experience in developing all these customer portals, I have seen client come to us problem like a basic customer portal that doesn't sync to the ERP, doesn't work properly. The customer are frustrated. There's no real-time data sync. Information data is scattered here and there. It's not properly planned. If they have to see as a business, now we discussed about the customer side thing, like creating customers experience as well. Like as a business, I do believe that they want the data to source of true be in one place, right? Not scattered here and there. Oh, order is there, and then the inventory is somewhere else. Now you don't know what. Now you have to go different applications and then plan it out. So yeah, that's my experience. I would like to know, like from you, what's your experience like on the any if you have on a customer portal.
Are you talking specifically around the data side of things, integration, or just how we've found it?
Now we discussed about the customer experience, right? I want to discuss about from the business perspective as well. Give them the idea that okay, if you have a good customer portal that not only serves your customer or your operations department, but also serves you better way.
Couldn't agree more. And fundamentally, as a business, it forces you to systemize and digitize. That's the first thing I'll say. And if you do it properly, so a lot of people listening to this as well will probably say, yeah, we did a portal, it didn't work and everything else. They didn't do it properly. Like, that's the point. It's probably not their fault, but it was either complete wrong thinking, e.g. it wasn't using PSV thinking, it was built terribly by like a poor partner, there's poor implementation, there was poor rollout, there's a myriad of reasons. But if we get the reasons, we get it right, we do it properly, then it forces you to digitize and systemize, and it becomes like the central nervous system, like the hub of the business. I believe it should become your edge factor, which is what we talked about, but it's the number one reason people do business with you. It's your digital first. If you become where you do a portal or something like this here, or try and release something like this technology, and you aren't digital first, like, it will always be that thing just over there that we do sometimes. It will never work. It will never work, right? You have to commit to it, invest in it, improve it, iterate on it. That's how it becomes, you get the returns out of it. And there's so much around the systems. You talk about central source of truth. Couldn't agree more, right? How can we leverage this data and all of this here for our team, right? So we say, okay, we've shown this all to customers. Well, our team want to have this as well. So yeah, we'll give the team access. Oh, okay. So we've even given customers all of this self-service access. They can do their own quotes, but some people still want, the team to do a quote. Okay, so how do we just leverage the technology we've already built for customers and let the team do the quote, and it generates an amazing looking quote in 10 seconds rather than taking 2 hours? Again, it's the thought process. How do we leverage all of this to our advantage, right? And if we think the right way, again, focus on increasing profit, enabling scale, building enterprise value. If you focus on the biggest problems or the biggest opportunities, then we solve them. You can't go wrong.
I've seen this happening like a lot of times. A lot of the clients we have has always come to us with these problems actually. The problem with syncing data, the problem with They have the ERP system implemented. I've seen this, but the ERP system is not hasn't been implemented properly, so that the data is scattered here and there. This is one of the problems I see all the time with our clients, and this is what we have been doing for like now, like more than 5 years more than I guess, syncing data here and then. But yeah, what's your experience like? What's with the playing around with the data? What how it should be handled and all that? What's your experience like?
It's an interesting one. I guess I totally agree with you. Most people's ERPs are an absolute mess. And I think that's a combination of things. I don't think it's just through. We talked about this, I think, earlier on in one of the other earlier episodes. So I can't remember exactly, but it's like a lot of people, we're talking about legacy systems, that's what it was, but a lot of people get something set up and then someone that's not really competent and doesn't have the skills just gets handballed it and said, oh, you need to take this on kind of thing. And then they don't have the skills. They just do the best. They do the best they can. Right? It's not really their fault. That's where we kind of end up in this scenario. And I don't think people truly understand. This isn't just non-technical people, business owners. People don't understand the power of structured data. Genuinely, I think a lot of developers, designers don't understand this when it comes to database design and how things interact, how things are structured, right? How things are simplistically but tagged and all of that kind of thing is incredibly important. It can be the different. I was having a conversation with a potential client about this the other day, but people will talk about AI. I do think the businesses that will win in the long term will have incredibly well systemized and digitized businesses and have incredibly well structured data underneath that. That is who's going to win, because we're proving it with all of our prototypes and experiments. And I know for myself in the business, it is enabling us to do things that we could never have done in the time that we're doing them. I'm not talking about generic crap. A lot of people just like put this as, oh yeah, we can generate 15,000 blog posts. That's not what we're talking about here, right? We're talking about real actionable tasks, insights in the business, growth of the business coaching, all of this stuff that we can do with what we're working on within 2GOS, obviously. I don't think people realize the power of data. And that's where obviously most businesses, data lives in an ERP. That's why I'm getting to this, is that, yeah, I don't have there's no magic bullet. You need someone that understands it and can do it properly. And I think you should have a central source of truth regarding a database. And typically for most businesses, that would be the ERP. A lot of the work that we do is layering on top of the ERP and other systems. So we may be creating a central repository, essentially, but we still try and, in most cases, this isn't every case, but we still try and keep the ERP as the source of truth, right? There should be a source of truth. But yeah, a lot of what I feel is missed out on is this structure of data and these databases and things like that there, is because if you don't own the narrative, without being cliche, like if you don't own the data, the structure, and actually control that as a business, yes, you may get benefits out of Copilot, ChatGPT, even other products eventually. I see NetSuite will eventually be bringing AI. I haven't done too much research around what they are doing, but no doubt it will be coming in regards to where you have, just let's look at it generically, you can ask anything that's in your NetSuite instance. That will happen. If it's not already in the works, it will happen. My point is that that's great. They've got your data structure and everything else in there. What are you doing to create your own, like what we're doing within 2GOS, if that makes sense? It is going to genuinely take us to the next level of what we can achieve, and how quickly we can achieve it will be the point.
Exactly. I couldn't agree more than this to you on that. If the data is not properly structured, it's of no use. If you have to use it, you have to clean it again properly, and then do a proper process of it, and then manage it. It's extra work which you have to do it later on, and then it could even be a trash. You could never be able to use it as well. So
Well, we've got a project right now, right, with exactly that we're looking at a migration. You talk a bit about that. We're obviously looking at a potential migration for the project we're working on, and it's 20 years plus of data.
yeah. Now that the problem is such a big problem, that is you have to go through all the data, validate it, and then clean it up. It's a big process now. It's a huge data. When you are collecting the data, try to make this is what you got to plan, I guess. You are using an application or customer portal, you will be always collecting your data. If you are not collecting properly, it's a trash. It could be end up being a trash. So yeah, it should be. That's one of the assets. If your application is assets, the more than the application, the data is very valuable asset. So
I agree. 100% agree. The data is the asset almost. Like that's the point. How you've structured the data and how you capture it is the asset. And I totally agree with you. But I'm of the opinion that you've got to get as much. Yes, there's refactoring and improving over time, but for regarding a data structure, that is the most. You can refactor features, front end, you can change the UI, things like that. But if fundamentally your data structure is flawed from the beginning, that is a lot of work to change. So I honestly, hands down, this isn't just I'm not just talking about our team or I'm just saying generally, developers and designers and things like that do not understand. Even just people that work on these projects, I believe they do not put enough importance on getting it set up right, understanding why it's been set up that way, and thinking 15 steps ahead of what potentially could be coming in and making sure, again, we talk about engineered to scale, right? Scalable systems is like thinking that way where it's like, okay, I'm not just thinking, oh, I can scale the database. I'm thinking I can scale the structure of the data with this, right? Like that's the point. And I couldn't agree more. We need to be more focused on that. We need to think like that. And especially to any CEOs, business leaders, or whatever listening that is thinking about a portal, a warranty portal, an operations platform. I don't care what it is, whether it's internal, external. The success will start and end with how you structure the data.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. As a developer, for the years long, until then, the thought process wasn't there. Actually, for the developers, it's just a task. It's just a feature. This data needs to go from this form. This needs to go there. That's just a task. They don't visualize it properly. They don't have a idea of PSV thinking, how it's scalable, how it's valuable, kind of thing. For a couple of years, until there's no much of data, not much of a data, then it works fine. You won't be having any problem as well. But when the data grows, you see the problems. And then when you want to scale as well, if it's not properly designed, the scalability is like an issue.
Only thing I just brought to mind then is we have this from our very first MVP of IntuGOS, right? Okay, we knew this was probably going to happen, but we just wanted to prove the concept of what we were doing, which we've done. We achieved our objective. But the data that we got in there now, it's not terrible, but like it's nowhere near to the level of where we're going and what we want it to be, right? And it makes it infinitely more difficult to get insights out of that. Yes, there are ways around it. Yes, we can do this and that and everything else, but it's not easy and it's not scalable. It's not like a future where we can go, oh yeah, okay, I can see how that can grow as we add more data. And important, I feel, for us to share these learnings to people listening, because it's all a continuous improvement process, I guess.
It's not only about the business perspective, technology wise as well. If the data is used, if it's not planned properly, it's not structured properly, it's very tough to scale. I've been seeing like one of the integration we did a couple of months ago. We had to get a lot of data from their vendors and then sync it to one source. And then it wasn't planned properly. The overall sync took like hours of syncing the data. It's so challenging. Very specific, very granular data were there regarding the price, and but very sensitive data as well. Very sensitive data. But like if or it wasn't like planned properly, that it was the biggest problem, that the syncing process could to take the server down. It could use such a heavy resource. It was planned for now the syncing, which I'm really happy that we from hours or of synced we got it to 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, kind of thing.
Yeah, and just for context, I guess that was the challenges they were having previously with the integration as well, right? If that makes sense. It was the same thing that we've got down now to what, 2 minutes, 3 minutes was taking 3 hours for some people. And yeah, that's the point. If it's built wrong, if we haven't thought it through, haven't planned it right, the only reason we can achieve those numbers is because we planned it properly, we thought it through, we made sure that it was actually aligned with the business processes. Yes, there was improvements we made along the way on our own learnings, but the overall structure and the approach that we took was fundamentally correct previously. It was fundamentally flawed with the previous partner and implementation that they did. And again, once you know this more than you, but I guess it's just coming to my head, how we start with a lot of things can, especially the data structure and just, I guess, not just data, but it's also overall architecture decisions, the architecture of the actual tech and the architecture of the data. If that is fundamentally flawed, it is almost impossible to change that when you're a long way in, isn't it? It's essentially, it's a re-platforming.
Yeah, it will cost you more at the end of the day. If the more you have to do reworks and all that kind of thing, it will cost you more, obviously. So.
Yeah, but 100%. But I think people don't understand that, and I want you to explain a bit more about it, because they somewhat just think it's like, oh yeah, just change that, like just add that thing in, just change that. It's like, well, it doesn't work like that, right? It's not that easy. It's like saying, hey, I've built this massive mansion and all the foundations are all wrong and the walls are in the wrong spot and everything, but I just want you to just change that. It's like, well, I can't just move that kind of thing.
Yeah, you gave a perfect example as a mansion. Like you have already built a mansion. Now you want to sift a pillar, a big pillar. Like how can you sift a pillar? You didn't like the design of the pillar or whatever happened. Now if sifting a pillar will wreck the whole mansion, you can be very, very delicate about doing that and doing it precisely. But until and unless you don't do it properly, what happens, you don't know what impact it is going to hit.
Where are the underlying issues? Yeah, cracks start coming here, there, and everywhere. You don't realize that. And then couldn't agree more. It's like people are, oh yeah, but I need it done. And it's like, yeah, but you do realize how much it's going to cost, right? We are fundamentally changing the product. This is flawed. But then the other challenge we have, and this is just in, I guess, our industry, but is the distrust levels of, like, because people don't understand what we do. It's somewhat like building, but I think with building and construction, I can physically touch it, feel it, see it, right? I know I can see it. With what we're doing construction with more challenges, more variables, and you can't see it. A leader, a CEO, CTO, whoever it is, whatever, obviously CTO would probably have more idea, but you know what I mean? As a leader of the business, whoever's reviewing it, most of them have like, oh, I don't understand what that is, especially in the kind of industries that we work with. And there's such a high level of trust because we say to them, well, bro, this is flawed. And they're like, well, why? And that's on us to then demonstrate simply and easy to understand and say, this is where it's at, this is why it's wrong, and this is what we need to do.
Exactly. While you're explaining, a lot of real life examples came to my head. Clients like look at like this, like they want to take it as it's just a simple like changing a color of a button or something like that. They take it that easily. When we are doing, it's not just changing a color is a thing. It's just a brief example for you guys, but like it's when you ask adding a lot of data, adding and manipulating data. Whenever you do that, is we need to think about how it's going to impact, how it's going to, like when you edit it, what's going to happen. Is it only that in a sales order, like one of the recent example was, is in a sales order they wanted to add something in the product items and all that kind of some details on it. They didn't see that user can edit it, who else can edit it, what's the things like that. There, each and everything needs to be changed.
It's a cascading effect, and people don't think about that cascading effect and the regression testing. And this is the point, and this is a somewhat frustrating thing, but it's on us to explain it and to think ahead. But that's half the point, is basically saying to the clients is looking at it saying, well, this is why, for example, you get questioned all this, why have hours gone up, right? Like this is one, why have the estimated hours gone up? Well, we've got an explanation for it. It's not about not questioning hours, right? Because that's in every client's right to be able to do that. It's more about the understanding of it to say, well, yeah, there's a reason why, if that makes sense. And this is why, right? And we've thought probably 5-10 steps ahead of you because we're experienced with doing this kind of work. We don't expect you to be thinking that far ahead. But at the same time, people aren't thinking. They just think that, yeah, let's change that. And then it doesn't, it could impact 20 other things, right? And then if we don't do this, and we know this through experience, there's times we've learned where we haven't done this, right? It's like, oh, why didn't you think of that? Oh, why didn't you do that? But then previously they were like, oh, we can't afford to spend any more time on it, right? And it's like, what do you want? We either spend more time on it, we do it properly, or we can cut corners and you'll figure out the issues later. People don't really like, I guess, being that blunt, but that's the facts of it. I come back to what I said, I think in one of the first episodes, but was people underestimate the level of investment and commitment and mental effort and everything it is to create a true edge factor, to create a really solid platform. There's a lot of effort and investment required. They also massively, even more, underestimate the potential. So if you do it properly, so they massively underestimate the cost and time and effort that needed to go into it to do it properly. At the same time, they massively underestimate the potential it has if it's done properly. Why? Because they focus on the wrong things. E.g., they should be thinking about PSV thinking. That is where the massive, multi-million, tens of million, $100 million opportunities come if we do that and do it properly.
One of the experience I have seeing the client's portal, customer portals and all that, people have been for ages using bot templates from somewhere. It's not built for them. Whatever they just use it and try to make it work around with that template rather than building it for yourself. It doesn't make sense for me now as we are. If you're trying to build your S factor, then build it for yourself, build it for your customer, the specific needs, how they want it, where they want the button to be. And they just don't use the templates, and then you will get it there, but the frustration, the understanding, the learning curve, the using the template is ridiculous. You might want, yeah.
I agree. I think another part of this is using off-the-shelf platforms. So obviously, the bulk of this kind of episodes about customer portals, and a key gripe I have is off-the-shelf. What I call off-the-shelf platforms are ready-to-go customer portals, kind of customer portals as a service, whatever you want to call it. It's essentially, we've already got a pre-built portal. You just need to set up your branding and we can do some adjustments and everything else. They have a place. Firstly, I want to say that, but they have a place. If you don't want to build your edge factor, you just want a generic what everyone else has and you want to do what everyone else has access to. And I put it in a very simplistic way. I know business isn't this simple, but it explains, you get the idea. You've got two competitors, the exact same, so everything's exactly the same. One of them implements this off-the-shelf customer portal. The other one, they do all of this cool, amazing. We should do that. They implement it. Immediately, they have the same thing. Immediately, they have the exact same thing. Okay. This guy gets a new feature. Released on this one. It is absolutely no different. You're doing the exact same thing as everyone else. Everyone else has exactly what you have, be able to. And then further than that, which is even worse, none of that is your intellectual property. None of that is your own asset. Yes, you can argue regarding enterprise value that you've implemented this off-the-shelf system and it helped you be more productive. Yeah, okay, I agree with that. It will somewhat influence EBITDA. It will somewhat increase your EV. Nowhere near as much as if you build your edge factor and something like In2GOS and build your own platform with your own technology that is designed exactly for how your business runs. It's designed for what makes you unique. It's designed to systemize all the good parts about your business and help you scale. And it's branded, it's packaged, it's yours. Your competitors cannot copy it, right? It is yours. It's your asset. There's a humongous difference. That's the same idea as what you're saying with these templates, whatever it is. Do what everyone else is doing, get the same results that everyone else gets. It's literally that simple.
I was imagining you're wearing someone else's tuxedo or a suit, proper suit. If it's built and tailored for you, it fits you well, you feel confident and you walk very confidently, right? If you are wearing someone else's clothes, then it won't fit you properly. It's hanging.
There's always something a bit wrong.
Yeah,
it doesn't feel right.
Yeah. Like this is the same thing with the software as well. Like the application as well. If it's tailored for you and your customer, your business specifically, it will be all like you'll feel great walking around. Feel very confident. It's the same experience I see.
Yeah, I would add to. I agree. It's a good idea, but I would add to it and probably put even a bit of a different angle on that. There, it's like going and buying an off-the-shelf suit that doesn't fit you versus a tailor making one for you that fits you, but also is something that you could never buy. That's the point, right? It's exactly how, not necessarily how you want it, because this whole process is about improving processes and everything else as well. It's not just about doing it exactly as you want it. We've got to think differently. But imagine it like a suit you couldn't buy anywhere else, is one of the most amazing suits in the world in that particular thing, and it is very unique. It's that idea of like, we are doing something no one else has done. We are doing something that someone else cannot get anywhere else, right? The only way they get this is by dealing with us. Imagine the edge factor as the experience people get when they deal with your business, but the edge factor is the package of like the technology, the platforms, everything like that there that enables you to give that experience. A simple example is like, people often say we have amazing customer service, or we get quotes back within half an hour. My question is, why do you even need to get quotes back within half an hour? Seriously, why can't clients do that? Now, don't get me wrong, there's still going to be people that want to get quotes from you and everything else. You should still stick to that. But why are you not thinking like, how do we get ahead and just mean that they don't have to contact us every time? Or, okay, let's build out the portal with our data structured properly and build AI on top of it and let them just ask for a quote and it will give it to them instantly. Now, a lot of people say, oh yeah, all the AI chatbots are crap and everything else. Yes, if you do it wrong, and 99% of people are doing it wrong. That's just a fact. But if you have the data structured properly, you do it right, you can do these things, right? And suddenly you go from someone has to email us to get a quote and respond back to literally they can ask AI or go into our portal. And not only do they get that access, they get everything else. They get this data, they get loyalty or whatever it is, but there's a reason for it. It's got to be a win-win. But to sum it up, not to keep banging on about it, is a lot of people, in essence what I'm saying, a lot of people make excuses saying our customers don't want that, they would prefer to do this. But the reason they prefer to do that is, guess what? Because it's easier than doing your other alternative. People take the path of least resistance. And if you genuinely show them that this is easier, and it may take even a few more steps, but at the end of the day, it's easier for you in regards to the data you get out of it, the tracking, whatever it might be, but it's a win for you and they understand that and it's genuinely true, they will do that. It's really that simple. If they're not doing it, probably look at what you've built or how you're onboarding them, how your whole mindset is as a business. Because I'm banging on too much, but again, another point about this with portals and things like that, I've seen businesses release brilliant portals and they die because there's no implementation plan, strategy plan of working with clients. The mindset of digital first, portal first is not there. So salespeople going out on the road and what they're doing is all the old school stuff, still doing the same thing, not mentioning the portal, nothing. The first thing they should be doing is saying, not have you heard, here's a flyer. Let me set you up. Let me train you. Their job should be to sell the portal, right? Not sell the product you're selling. They should be selling the solution. They should sell the portal. And then businesses release this amazing, or like at least they've got the foundational of this amazing idea there. And they're like, oh, it doesn't work. It's like, what are you doing? It's not going to sell itself. You have to be digital first and genuinely put it at the top of your strategy. And it is your edge factor. And if it is your edge factor, you will treat it like that. And it'll be the number one thing you talk about. And it'll be the number one thing you sell.
Exactly. Sometimes some clients has thought it properly, but they want to overdo it, overbuild it as well. That's one of the problem as well I see in the while dealing with the clients. They want everything in their mind, and then they end up trying to implement everything at once without experimenting with the user. That is also one of the things that has made the customer portals ruin the process of the customer portal, actually the value of the customer portal. So do you have any experience around it? Have you seen anything like that? If you'd love to share it.
Yeah, I agree. It's a fantastic point that you raise. There's a balance. I'm a big believer in looking long-term in the vision, setting the vision for where we're getting to, but absolutely agree with you on a feature-by-feature basis and how things work. There has to be flexibility because, as Martin Dahlman said on the Pulse episode as well, where I spoke to him, we don't know what we don't know. And when we start the project, we actually know the least about it at that point in time, and we're trying to do the most planning. Now, this affects a few things, one of them being budget and timeline with the work that we do that is difficult to explain with clients because we're trying to plan with the least amount of knowledge. We're trying to plan the most extensively. But just focusing on this whole point about trying to do too many features at once, I totally agree with you. We're talking about, and we've talked about doing all this self-service, all this everything else. Absolutely agree with you. You can't do that all at once. It's like trying to build a mansion or the Colosseum or whatever. I'm just saying like a building just in one big lump and go, if that makes sense. Essentially, it's built line upon line. It's built layer upon layer. It's like we do build this, but we've got the vision is always there of what we're trying to do. The mindset's there. We just need to work out the blocks we have to put in place and adjust those as we go. And couldn't agree more. There are a lot of businesses that fail because you try and do everything at once and you end up doing nothing properly. Like, everything fails rather than just focusing on a core set of features to begin with and then continuing development. And that's another thing that I think, again, if you're going to focus on your edge factor, it's truly the edge factor for the business. It never stops. Like, when you release the portal is day zero. Like, you do not, that's not, oh, thanks, oh, we're done, like, great. It's, we have just literally started the project. So we've just launched, but now it's like continuous development from that point forward. Why? Because if you do it properly and you invest in it properly, you would get more returns. You should be getting more returns out of it than you would ever spend on it.
Exactly. Thank you for clearing that out. I think we can talk for ages on this. I know that, but it's time that we wrap up. Thanks for the time. And then lastly, I do want you to summarize it properly, at least 2 or 3 points when someone is trying to build a customer portal, what they need to focus on and things like that there, so that it's clear and summarized.
Yep. So the first thing I would say is you need to be focused on if you're focusing specifically on customers, how do you allow them to self-service as much as possible? Not in a generic way, flip things on its head, ask, can we do this differently? The industry may not have never done it, but how can you change the narrative and allow customers to do self-service at a level never seen in your industry? That's the first thing I say. You then have to focus on 3 key pillars, which is increasing profitability, enabling scale, and building enterprise value. That's the PSV thinking. And keep in mind that the whole time you're trying to build your edge factor, which is how do we turn this into something that is the first thing that we sell? It is our business. It is the number one thing in our business that we are using to operate, to sell. It's our main USP, all of that kind of stuff. If you get those pillars right, then essentially you'll know that fundamentally the business case will be there. If it's not there, don't bother doing it. But if it's there, the opportunity's there, you should do it. And then the final thing is, as we've already said, break it up into phases, but never forget the vision.
Thanks, Julian. That was great, actually. Thank you so much.
No worries. Good chat.
Good chat. All right, see you next week, Julian, then.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks, mate. That's a wrap on this episode of The Disruptors. If you are serious about unlocking your ACE factor, the thing that sets your business apart and helps it grow sustainably, don't forget to follow, share, and leave a quick review. We will be back next week with more real-world insights and no-flop conversations on how to rethink your systems, modernize operations, and build value that lasts. Until then, stay sharp, stay focused, and keep disrupting.